What are you doing in my house? I must be really, really drunk right now. I'm gonna turn back, and when I come around, you're not gonna be there. And you're still there. Punch must have been spiked. I hate it when they don't warn anybody. Well, I guess if it's spiked, then probably I shouldn't be going out. Last time I did that, I ended up dancing in the forest until the next night, and then I couldn't remember where. I mean, you don't need to know that. So, what are you doing here? Yeah, no, I mean, I think I know what you are. I'm not exactly sure, but all I remember is that I came back, got all my stuff, had dinner, had supper, had an after-supper snack, went to the festivities. Now you're here. Well, I mean, you don't... Your ears aren't pointed. That's strike one. And your skin doesn't have any sort of glitter to it, even under that dirt. Strike two. And you are decidedly unattractive. By my standards, that is. Well, I didn't really think I wanted to meet a human this way, but why not, I guess. So, pull up a chair. Yeah, no, I'm not gonna eat you or nothing. I mean, the elves like to say that none of the humans can cross the threshold or else they're going to be killed, but I hate elves. They're so uptight. I mean, take a break. Jeez. But they like to march around the territory and harass anybody they see. At this point, I think they get off on it. Really. They must like being miserable, I suppose. But I have no time to be miserable. Besides, there's yet another festival, so I do have things to attend to. But I suppose I can sit for a little while. I was just coming back to grab a necklace that one of the other Fae loaned me and now has not stopped harping about it. I mean, sure, it's been 7 months, but, you know, maybe I wanted to wear it to another event. I don't know. Keeping my options open. But they don't see it that way. They wanted to wear it tonight, but, you know, color's a big thing in this particular festival. You don't understand absolutely anything I'm saying, do you? You got a name? You want to talk? No. Is there something wrong? Okay. You know what? Let's get a little bit more light in here. I'd heard y'all were a little more talkative than this, but must be mistaken. Let's see. little dirty. A little worse for wear, I suppose. But I don't know, it looks like you've been running through a thicket of brambles. Yeah, I don't know. I mean, that doesn't really say anything about why you're mute, except... Did you happen to encounter the elves first? Ah, yeah, that would be it. The Dark Forest Elves. Seriously, don't listen to them. Well, I mean, to a point, do listen to them, because I've seen the very creative ways they like to... Probably don't want to know, but yeah, here it's not really that big of a deal. No, I would advise you to not eat any of the food and don't drink anything that's offered to you, and I would stay away from most of the Fae, just because at this time of year, everybody likes to get a little crazy, if you will. I mean, that's kind of just our way, I guess. But, you hungry? Need anything to eat? Okay, good. I'm glad that you listened. So, you're a little nervous. I know. I've got some leaves. We could smoke them. Calm you down. No? Okay. Well, I'll save those for another day. I imagine probably getting crossfaded at the festivities is not really how I want to spend my evening, but... So, what can I do for you then? Yeah, I guess we can clean you up. I'm not gonna lie, I don't really want to touch you, so there's that. But luckily, I have been practicing a little. Generally, one doesn't have to use one magic, but you would be a nice little guinea pig, I think. So I just found this one, and I think it called itself a chickapin oak. Very interesting. I was hoping for elm or ash, but I don't know, it's kind of hard to find around here. It's mostly oak, mostly maple. Back home, it's a lot of elm, a lot of ash, some rowan, some yew, you know. But yeah, we can fix you up, I think. So, all right. I'm not exactly sure how this is going to go. I'm going to warn you there. But you know, actually, I might be able to counteract that. So, let's go ahead and just give you a little layer of protection, I think. Just a small one. Let's see here. All right. So you'll find that maybe the elves are not well versed in certain types of spells, but see, the Fae, it's always a party with the Fae. And if you can't party, then what's the point of living, am I right? And while we are essentially immortal, we do get sick, we do have little mishaps, so healing magic and protection magic is one of our specialties. I'm just going to wave this feather all around you, and it's just going to form this soft blanket of protection. I've used this before so that I didn't get too drunk at one of the many festivals. What you tend to do is you get drunk, you eat something, get drunk again, eat something. It's just, sometimes it's a little much, you know? So, with just a little bit of protection, you can drink all that you want and not have those nasty side effects. Granted, you won't get drunk, but none of the other Fae are going to make fun of you for not being able to hold your liquor. It's a whole deal. It's a little much sometimes, especially when we all have to go to court, right? See if you want to see cruelty in its finest. Yeah, I would avoid court. Lots of parties, lots of debauchery. I mean, really, the Seelie and Unseelie court Fae, they really put the debauch and debauchery. But that doesn't happen very often. I don't know that Queen Mab's called court in a while. But I'm not going to worry about it. There we are. And let's see if that took. Right. I think so. I think that's done fairly well, actually. Very good. What was that? Oh, the festivals. Well, they can really be for any reason. Right now, it's for another harvest, although we've had a few harvests already, and this isn't the last harvest, but another harvest and another festival. I mean, it can be fun, but I've been doing this for, I don't know, like 6,000 years now. Occasionally I go through these periods where it's just meh. You know, I spend 100 or so years just kind of bored with it, and then I get back into it. It's just this vicious cycle. But anyway, let's go ahead and work on healing you up. So this side is up. Hey, I said that I'm still getting used to it, okay? I haven't refined this one yet. I figured I would see if it would work for me, and then if it did, then we would put the finishing touches on it, but it doesn't matter, right? So let's go ahead and just work on healing you up. Imagine one of those dark forest elves took pity on you and decided to let you leave as long as you didn't come back, right? One of those. Yeah. Did they give you, like, those directions to get out? And it turns out they weren't right? Yeah, there's a reason for that. I don't know that any of those forest elves have been out of the forest in a very long time. See, we've had this territory for a couple thousand years. I think it's fairly new. And they don't realize that time changes things. Things grow, things die. But you know, entrances change, exits change. It's a whole deal. So I don't think they would actually know the way out. Yeah. Or also could have been a ploy to give you the illusion that you were getting out, and then they decided that, on the other hand, it would be nice to kill you. There's always that. As I said, the Fae oftentimes are quite cruel, just for the fun of it. We get bored easily, thus the festivals. Do you feel any better yet? Alright, let's try this again. I'm gonna actually put some effort into it, okay? So, just going to very gently pass this over your face, and as I bring the wand around, your wounds, your scrapes, your cuts, bruises all start to fade away. Fade away. There we are. Alright, I'm just going to work outwards. Alright, that's looking a little better. That's looking a little cleaner. Let's see. Just going to get in and very softly work at your face. Okay, that looks better. Does that feel a little better? See, when I get to talking, I don't know what I'm doing. But there's only so much you can do with the other members. I mean, really, it's just drinking, eating, and orgies. That's about it. It was cool for, first 4,000 years, but I don't know. I feel like I'm getting a little more mature for that. Alright, and I'm just going to bring that in to seal everything up. Bring it in, seal it up. This is great practice. Yeah, you would think that that most of the Fae would have a handle on their magic, but here's the deal. A lot of the older ones don't think that the younger ones are practicing correctly, the old ways as they call it, and they don't want to teach anybody else the way things should be done. So while we have some literature and we have some elders that are willing to teach us things, for the most part it's almost a dying art. We have the ability to harness these things, but oftentimes it just makes for some really awkward encounters. I remember that when I started showing, I was sitting down by the river and I was just, hanging out as you do. And unfortunately, that meant that when it did manifest, I got splashed by a big, it looked like a horse, I guess. I don't know. It formed this sort of form and then just splashed on me. And that wasn't very fun. A lot of the others laughed at me, but then they had much more embarrassing ways that theirs manifested. So I remember one caught his whole hair on fire. Yeah, it was a lot of hair. He had been growing it for a few hundred years, so he was pretty upset. Of course, I laughed. So it's temperamental. All right, let's go ahead and work on everything else now that I guess you're a little more attractive, I suppose, for a human, maybe. I don't really have much to go off of. Compared to Fae, though. Nah. Nope, you are a potato. The Fae are meant to be flawless in every way except for their personalities. Boring. But what can I say? There are certainly worse things. I could be stuck on the outside of the territory and have to mingle with you lot. You humans are so fragile, so breakable. Case in point. Just working, sealing up those wounds. There we go. Magic feels a little bit funny, doesn't it? See, when we're harnessing the power of nature itself, it has this beautiful warmth to it. Not all magic is like that. You do have to realize that magic is chaos, and it's wildness, and it is unyielding, unrelenting, and you have to somehow harness that and somehow make it into something more tangible, make it do what you want it to. It's kind of difficult, really, to try to persuade it to mold in the way you want it to. And every couple thousand years or so, sometimes it likes to change, so then some of your spells don't work quite like they used to. And sometimes that's when new spells arrive. It's all quite chaotic. That is the way of the world. Chaos. Alright, let's see. I'm just going to run this over you and hopefully spread that like jam on bread. There we are. Works much easier than going through every body part. We'll just spread that around. Let your wounds close up and then seal them. There we are. And to think that I was just going to come back for a meal, to grab that stupid necklace, and then go out and imbibe myself with too many substances, and instead I get to babysit. Although it is kind of nice. It's not very often that I get to practice magic. A lot of us are too old now that we mess up our magic and, get singed or get buried or what have you. Not so clumsy anymore. There. I think that's about it. So I think we're gonna have to get you cleaned up. I don't really have anything for that, but might be able to do. We'll try another spell. Isn't this fun? I think so. Let's go ahead and reset that. Just pulling the excess magic out. And then we'll try again. Alright, so let's see. I think if we work from side to side, we can start cleaning all that up. Now, this one I haven't used in a while, so you're gonna have to be quiet, although that shouldn't be too hard for you. You've been pretty quiet this whole time. But this requires concentration in order to make sure that it goes right. I've had a couple of mishaps with this one, so I have to concentrate. Just swiping that back and forth. Swipe, 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 swipe. passable, I think. Certainly could have gone better, but it definitely could have gone worse. So let's see. Let's try and get the rest off. Just swiping that back and forth. There we go. I didn't ask, but how are you feeling so far? Okay. I mean, even like a yes or a no, like a nod or shaking your head, that would help me a lot more. I swear to God, I'm not going to eat you. I feel like you'd be a little too tough. I don't really eat meat anyway. I mean, I suppose if one were desperate, but just not really made for that. So, you don't have to worry. There we are. Okay, let's go ahead and spread that out. Spreading the magic jam. The wand is mostly just a conduit for this. I could do all of this by hand, but it's much easier and this spreads things out in a larger area. It's easier to harness than just doing it by hand. Not a lot of folk use wands anymore. They find them somewhat tedious because you have to ask the wand if it'll work with you. You have to, it's a whole deal. You have to take care of it. You have to make sure that it's maintained, that the wood doesn't dry. Unfortunately, I've let this one dry a bit. Because if you don't treat it exactly how it wants to be treated, and it doesn't always tell you what it wants, then things backfire. And in this fast society today, I think a lot of my peers just didn't want to deal with all that because they wanted to get back to more partying. It all comes back to that. Which is fine. It's just, I feel like there are bigger and better things that could be done. I'm gonna back up a bit and let's see. There we go. There. Much better. I think overall you look pretty clean. I do notice that there are some holes, tears, whatnot in your clothing. Do you want me to have at that as well? Okay, so this one I am quite good at. Clothing here tends to be made of somewhat fragile materials because we go through it a lot, obviously, with all of our extracurricular activities, so one needs to know how to mend things quite well. So, let's see. Alright. I think we'll go right here, and we're just going to weave those threads back together. Just like that. Right there. And then pull that through. Pull it through to make it tight. And there. That's better. I will admit the thread is a different color. I don't know. Probably didn't temper this enough. See, if I'm not concentrating, then things turn out slightly off. All right, let's try again. So right there, just going to work at threading that all back together. There we go. Very good, and we'll pull the thread through, pull that through, pull that through, and tie that off. Okay, that's much better, much closer to the color of your clothing. All right, so I noticed a couple of, what did you do there? Oh, you must have fallen. I was going to say the knees are quite beat up here. Let's go ahead and work on that. So just going to thread that all back together and anchor the thread. Pull it through, pull it through, pull it through, and cut off those loose ends. Okay, very good. And let's see. Just going to thread that all back together. There we go. And then pull it through, pull it through, pull it through, and tie that off. Looks pretty good. I think all the major wear and tear areas are covered. So, lastly, I think you need some actual protection and some actual directions. So, let's go ahead. We're going to do a little knot magic, if you will. So, different numbers of knots mean different sorts of things. Odd numbers tend to be the best. So I'm going to give you 3 knots here for protection. 3 loops, and I'm just going to tie that off. So there we are. 3 knots, 3 loops. Now that looks nice. That looks nice. And I haven't used these in a while. Obviously, I have a full jar of them. Let's see. So we'll give you a few of these crystals, and I would recommend you put these in your pocket so that you don't lose them. So here are those. Yep, just 2 in each pocket. 1, 2, 1, 2. Very good. And lastly, a river stone should do nicely. So let's see. We have a few different stones here. I think, let's see, this one has quite a bit of striation, quite a bit of pitting as well. This one, less striation. I think this would ultimately be better used in a different sort. And this might be a keeper, I think. So the more striation, the more stripes that you have, the better protection you'll have. I think this one would work well for you. That back, and I think also this in your pocket will do quite nicely. I did mend them, so it shouldn't fall out. So now to actually get on your way back, I think here we are. All right. One of these. So these little leaves here, if you ask them very, very nicely, they oftentimes will grant you a wish, generally a very simple one. I think if you take this, you go outside of the village and crush it in your hand while thinking of wanting to go home, you should be able to find the way out. If you don't, you'll probably get caught by another forest elf, and, well, I'll say that it was nice knowing you, but I've used these quite a few times. They've worked well in the past. You have a very simple request. I think this is all you need. I'm just going to let you have that. So you'll just take it and you'll crush it in your hand, and then you'll keep holding it. All right, so keep it crushed in your hand. Keep holding it until you get to your destination. All right? Simple enough? Yeah, I don't imagine these sort of things have the same logic that it would in your neck of the woods, but things are different here. Magic is allowed to run wild, and we don't think about such things as order or simplicity or control, really. We just allow. I think that's the big thing. It's just allowing things to work as they will. Now, this has all been very fun, but I do have to return this necklace. Or not. I could say I lost it. I'll say I lost it. And now I have a party to get back to. I think it'll be a little more fun, seeing as my other events of the evening were not quite what I was expecting, but I embraced them anyway. With that, I think that it is time for you to scurry off. So remember, leaf, crush it in your hand after you get out of the village. I know you know how to get out because you got in. After you get out of the village, crush it in your hand, think of wanting to go home or whatever destination, and then I imagine it will just show you the way. Clear? Good. Now, I think I'm gonna have a snack before I go. So I'll let you skedaddle, and I am going to make myself a sandwich, I think. That sounds good. Yeah, I'll have a sandwich. Oh, until next time. Or not.